Let me start by saying I'm not Brad Pitt. But apparently, my wife thought she could treat me like some supporting actor in the tragic rom-com that became our marriage. I, at 36M, used to think our relationship was solid. Married 6 years, together for 8. We met in LA. She was an aspiring actress turned yoga instructor. I was doing video editing gigs and had just landed a full-time role with a small production company. Things were humble, but we were happy, or so I thought. At first, it was little things. You know that sixth sense that tells you something's off? Her phone started living face down. She used to be an open book, texting with friends in front of me, laughing, even showing me memes. But then she got real private. Said she was working on mindfulness and trying to be less distracted. Right. She also started making snide comments about me not being motivated or famous like I said I'd be. I joked once, "Well, sorry I'm not Brad Pitt." She didn't laugh. Just stared at me and said, "Yeah, you're definitely not." Should have been a clue. But love makes you dumb. Or at least very, very forgiving. She started going out more. Girls' nights, clients, teaching late. One night, she came home smelling like a cologne I don't wear, said she hugged a friend at a studio opening. I wanted to believe her. I really did. I remember lying awake that night wondering when she stopped looking at me like I was enough. But I didn't know then how deep the rabbit hole would go. I had no idea how many lies she'd stacked up, or how far she'd go to protect them. And this was only the start. All right, so after the weird cologne night, I started paying more attention. Not like in a stalker way, just aware. Hyper-aware. When someone you love starts to treat you like furniture, you can't help but notice. She started leaving the house in full makeup for grocery runs. Yoga pants were replaced with little black dresses, and somehow she always came back without groceries. I'd ask, "Did you forget the almond milk?" And she'd snap, "They were out." God, why do you always interrogate me? Interrogate? Lady, I asked about almond milk. Then there were the texts. She got a second phone, claimed it was for work, said one of her private yoga clients was a celebrity and wanted privacy. I asked who. She got cagey. Said she signed an NDA. Sure. Because yoga instructors are out here swearing silence like CIA agents. Her best friend, Tara, started acting weird too. Avoided me. Used to hang out, crack jokes. Suddenly she could barely make eye contact. One night, I caught her mid-sentence saying to my wife, "Did Brad find you?" before she stopped dead. My wife just glared at her like she could kill with her eyes. I asked what that was about. My wife laughed and said, "We were talking about a birthday surprise, dumbass." Dumbass. Cute. I'd later find out what that sentence was supposed to be. And it wasn't about birthdays. But what finally broke it open, what started unraveling the entire damn lie, wasn't even a text or lipstick stain. It was a dog. Yeah, a dog. So, the dog. We don't have a dog. That's what made it weird. I was working from home one Thursday when I got this random text from an unknown number. "Hey, your wife left her scarf at my place. Loki misses her already, LOL. Loki? Like the Marvel guy? I stared at it for a second, thinking maybe it was a wrong number. I texted back. "Think you've got the wrong guy." Dude replied. "Aren't you Brad? The guy with the cute wife, yoga teacher?" My heart straight up stopped. I didn't reply. Just sat there, sweating, trying to swallow the sick feeling building in my chest. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. I messaged. "Yeah, that's me. Who is this?" He says his name is Kevin. Says they met at a private event. Describes my wife. Perfectly. Says she comes by every now and then, and that she's been talking about leaving her husband. I swear, I read that line 10 times before I stood up. I actually laughed. Like the short, bitter, shocked laugh. My whole body was shaking. I felt like I wasn't in my own house anymore. Like I was inside some twisted alternate version of my life. And the craziest part? I thanked the guy for the info. Told him I appreciated his honesty. He said, "Didn't know she was actually married." "Sorry, man. She said you were separated." Of course she did. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, scrolling back through months of memories, watching them morph and rot. The late nights. The cold shoulders. The phone turned face down. It wasn't just paranoia. It was truth. And the truth hit like a brick through my gut. Next day, I made a plan. I wasn't going to confront her blind. I needed proof. Something undeniable. So, I followed her. The next Saturday, she said she had a client session in Silver Lake. Told me not to wait up, the usual. I acted cool. said, "No problem, babe," and kissed her on the cheek. Then I waited 10 minutes, grabbed my keys, and followed her. Let me be clear. I've never done anything like that in my life. I'm not a jealous guy, not a control freak, and I've never felt the need to snoop. But when your world's already crumbling, watching it fall with your own eyes almost feels necessary. Like you need the pain to be real. She took the 101, got off near Franklin, parked in front of a sleek apartment complex, the kind of place with balconies and valet trash. Definitely not a yoga studio. She got out of the car, checked her lipstick in the mirror, and grabbed a bottle of wine from the passenger seat. I parked down the street, watched as she rang a buzzer, waited, then got buzzed in. Didn't even hesitate. No yoga mat. No gym bag. Just heels, wine, and lies. I sat there in my car for 30 minutes, watching the windows. Trying not to cry. Trying not to scream. Trying to not let my hands shake. Eventually, I got out. Walked up to the front and buzzed the same unit. Nothing. Buzzed again. Then a voice, male, answered. "Hello." I said, "Yeah, it's Brad. Her husband. Just thought I'd stop by." Dead silence. Then the line went dead. 10 seconds later, she comes out the front door, alone, walking fast, eyes wide like she saw a ghost. She started with, "What are you doing here?" I said. "Shouldn't I be asking you that?" She stammered, tripped over her words. "It's not what it looks like." Classic. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I just stood there while she kept trying to explain her way out of it. "He's just a friend. I didn't want to tell you because you'd get jealous. We were just talking." Talking? With wine? In heels? At 9 p.m.? She said, "You're overreacting." And I swear, that's when something inside me snapped. But I didn't explode. I didn't do anything dramatic. I just turned around and walked away. Back to the car. Back to silence. Back to the rest of the life I thought I knew, burning down behind me. I'll tell you what I found on her phone later that night. Because yeah, I looked. She got home late that night. I pretended to be asleep on the couch, though I was wired as hell, heart still pounding from earlier. She tiptoed past me like a teenager sneaking in after curfew. Around 2 a.m., when she was dead asleep, I took her phone from the nightstand. Yeah, I know, invasion of privacy, yada yada. But if you've ever been lied to so thoroughly your own memories start to feel fake, you'll understand. I had to know. She didn't have it password. Rookie mistake. Or maybe she trusted I'd never look. Her texts were clean. Too clean. Like, just deleted recently clean. But she forgot one thing. The photo gallery trash folder. I opened it. And there it was. Dozens of selfies I'd never seen. Dresses I'd never seen her wear. Candids of wine glasses, plates of food, dim lighting, and his hand. Always his hand. Different watches. Tattoos. There was even a video short, low volume, obviously taken in a rush of her giggling, lying in someone's bed, whispering, "He has no idea." I couldn't breathe. I literally put the phone down and walked to the bathroom just to throw up. Then I came back. Sat on the edge of the bed. Stared at her while she slept. I know that sounds creepy, but I needed to look at the woman who did this to me. I needed to remember her like this. Peaceful, fake, a stranger in my bed. I didn't wake her. I didn't say a word. I just sat there and let the hurt do its work. Let it carve out everything soft in me. Let it make room for the fire that was coming next. Because I knew what I was going to do. So the next morning, I made coffee. Yep, that's how it started. She stumbled into the kitchen like nothing happened, wearing one of my old shirts, all smiles. She even kissed my cheek. I asked her how her client session went. She paused just a second too long, then said, "It was intense. Long night. She's going through a divorce." I actually laughed into my mug. She didn't ask why. Instead, she sat across from me, scrolled her phone like I hadn't seen everything, like I didn't know about the trash folder, the hands, the bed, the whisper. I let her talk. About errands, about the dog she saw at the gas station, about her friend Tara's weird new boyfriend. Tara. That was a whole other bag of lies I hadn't opened yet. Spoiler, she knew everything. And she said nothing. Anyway, I decided I'd go full Cold War on this. Smile. Nod. Gather intel. Set the trap. I copied everything from her phone to my laptop that afternoon while she was out teaching. I made backups. Duplicates. One I stashed in my brother's Dropbox. Another on a USB I taped under my car seat. I started texting Kevin again, the guy she was seeing, under the guise of closure. He was weirdly cooperative. Said she never mentioned being married. Said she told him I was abusive. That was the match that lit the powder keg. Abusive? Me? You think you know someone. You think you built something real. But turns out, she'd been laying bricks for a house she never planned to live in. Is where I confronted her for real this time. No games. No pretending. Just me, her, the laptop, and the truth. It was a Sunday afternoon. Sunny, calm, the kind of day that almost dares you to believe everything's fine. She was in the kitchen cutting up strawberries. Yoga pants, bun, humming some stupid song. Like we were a real couple. I sat on the couch and opened the laptop. Called out casually. Hey babe, can you come here a sec? She walked over with a bowl of fruit, smiled, sat next to me. I didn't smile back. I clicked play on the video. The one where she whispered, he has no idea. Her face dropped. She turned white. Mouth opened, then shut. You could practically hear the gears grinding in panic mode. I said, so, want to tell me who he is? Or should we just invite Kevin over for coffee? And that's when the mask fell off. No more fake smiles, no more gaslighting. Her eyes went cold. She said, you went through my phone? That's a huge violation of my privacy. Oh, that's what we're worried about? I just stared at her. I trusted you. You lied to my face for months. You told another man I was abusive. And you're upset about privacy? She stood up, defensive posture, voice getting sharp. You don't understand, Brad. You've been emotionally unavailable for a long time. You're obsessed with your work. I didn't plan this, it just happened. Right. The affair just happened. Like she tripped and fell onto his couch. She started pacing. Pulled the classic, we've been unhappy for a while, routine. Said she felt seen by Kevin. That she needed to feel alive again. Then she dropped the bomb. Maybe this marriage was a mistake. I didn't even flinch. Then let's fix that mistake. She blinked. What does that mean? I stood up, walked to the drawer, pulled out the file I'd started, bank statements, text transcripts, photos, the whole digital paper trail. It means we're done. I'll tell you how she reacted when I served her the divorce papers and the twisted stunt she pulled the next day. Because of course she couldn't go quietly. I called a lawyer the next day. Quick consultation. Told him everything from the affair to the gaslighting to the he has no idea video. He didn't blink. Said he'd seen worse, but I could tell he was impressed with how organized I was. That felt like something. By Wednesday, the papers were ready. I waited until Saturday morning poetic, really, since that's when she used to sneak off for her client sessions. I handed her the envelope over breakfast. French toast. Real maple syrup. The last breakfast we'd ever share. She opened it, scanned the first page, and her face just froze. Then came the explosion. Are you serious right now? You're divorcing me? Me? After everything I've put into this marriage? That one made me laugh. I couldn't help it. She said I was being dramatic, that we should go to counseling, that we owed it to each other to talk things through. I said, you had months to talk. You chose to screw around instead. Then came the threats. You'll regret this. I'll ruin you in court. You're not taking the house. You'll never find someone like me again. God, I hope not. But the worst came the next morning. I got a knock on the door from the LAPD. Someone had made an anonymous tip, said I was threatening my wife, that I had a history of violence. They asked if they could come in. Luckily, I stayed calm. Explained the situation. Showed them the divorce papers, the emails, the video. One of the officers looked at me and said, yeah, this sounds like a spite report. They left. But the damage was done. She had tried to set me up. That was the moment I stopped mourning her. I'll share how I went full no contact and what I learned about the real her after talking to some people from her past. Turns out, this wasn't her first rodeo. After the cops left and I locked the door behind them, something in me snapped. Not in a rage way, in a clarity way. The kind of snap where everything gets silent and you realize, I don't owe this person anything ever again. I texted her one line. All future communication goes through my lawyer. Blocked her number. Blocked her on every app. Took her name off the emergency contacts. I even changed the garage code and the Netflix password. No contact wasn't just strategy. It was oxygen. And here's where it got wild. Once I went public, once my friends and family knew the full story, the floodgates opened. Her cousin messaged me first. Said, I'm sorry, man. I wanted to tell you earlier. She did this to her ex before you. Almost the exact same way. Turns out, her previous relationship ended in a similar explosion. Cheating. Lies. A restraining order. Another message came in from a woman I barely remembered, a mutual friend we'd lost touch with. She said she distanced herself after my wife hit on her husband at a New Year's party. My stomach turned. I realized then that I hadn't just been betrayed. I had been deliberately fooled. She had worn this personality like a costume. Kind, witty, supportive. All just bait. One guy, a bartender at a lounge she used to visit with the girls, said she'd been bringing different men there for months. Said he thought I must have known because she acted single. Nope. I was the dumb, loyal husband at home cooking dinner. Looking back, the signs were there. But love makes you blind, and trust makes you stupid. I'll tell you how she tried one last time to get back in, and the disturbing thing she said when she realized it was really over. It had been almost a month of no contact. Blissful, peaceful silence. Then came the email. Subject line: "Can we talk like adults?" I almost deleted it without opening it, but curiosity got me. It started with fake softness. "I've been doing a lot of thinking. I know I made mistakes. I still love you. We were good together, Brad." Then came the manipulation. "You're not blameless either. We drifted. You shut down emotionally." And finally, the bait. "Let's just meet for coffee. 1 hour. No lawyers. Just us." I didn't reply. She sent 2 more emails over the next week. The last one? Unhinged. She said she'd been talking to someone, a man she described as understanding and protective. She said he knows what's been going on. She said she told him everything. And then, the line that made my skin crawl. "You shouldn't have made me your enemy. You'll regret this." It was a threat, wrapped in pity, coated in venom. That's when I forwarded everything to my lawyer and added a little note. "Let's speed this up." We filed for an emergency motion to finalize financials and enforce no direct contact. I didn't feel scared. I felt done. I felt like I was finally seeing her for who she was, not just a cheater, but a manipulator with no real bottom. The woman I married was never real, just a performance. And now? The mask had slipped. The stage lights were off. I'll share how I finally told my parents the full story and the shocking thing my dad admitted about the wedding day that he never told me until now. For months, I'd kept the whole mess bottled up. Told my parents everything was fine because, honestly, I was embarrassed. Who wants to admit their wife was cheating, lying, and trying to frame them? But after the emails and threats, I knew I had to come clean. So one evening, I sat them down. Told them everything. The affair, the lies, the video, the police visit, the threats, every brutal detail. My mom cried. My dad just sat quietly, nodding. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Brad, on your wedding day." I thought something was off. She was smiling, sure, but I caught her whispering to someone on the phone before the ceremony. Said it was work stuff. I didn't want to say anything and ruin your day. I blinked. He continued. "I should have said something. Maybe this wouldn't be happening." Hearing that crushed me in a weird way, that even on the happiest day, the cracks were already there. And everyone around me had seen some of it, but nobody said a word. My parents promised to support me no matter what. No judgment, just love. That night, I realized how much I had isolated myself, how afraid I'd been to admit vulnerability. I'll talk about the roller coaster of emotions I went through next, from anger to sadness, and finally, the slow climb toward acceptance. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't quick, but it was necessary. After telling my parents, I thought maybe I'd feel relief. But nope. The next few weeks were like riding a mental roller coaster with no brakes. First came the anger. Full-on rage. I'd replay every lie, every betrayal in my head. I wanted to scream, smash things, yell at her face until she begged for mercy. I'd catch myself clenching fists in the middle of the day or getting irrationally pissed over small stuff. Then, the sadness hit like a freight train. That overwhelming feeling that something precious was lost, not just the marriage, but the trust, the dreams, the future we planned together. I cried in the shower more times than I care to admit. But anger and sadness gave way to a quiet, stubborn acceptance. Acceptance that some people don't change. That love isn't always enough. Acceptance that I deserved better than lies and manipulation. I started journaling, writing down thoughts, feelings, no filter. It helped. I also picked up running again. Something about pounding the pavement made the chaos inside feel manageable. Slowly, I stopped checking my phone obsessively. I stopped looking for her name everywhere. That quiet acceptance wasn't peace yet, but it was a start. I'll explain the decision I made about the marriage, why I chose to walk away, and how I began to rebuild my life from the ashes. After weeks of soul-searching, I made the hardest call. I was done. Not just done with her, but done pretending the marriage could survive this. I told my lawyer to push for a clean break. No messy custody battles. Thank God we had no kids, no drawn-out fights over the house. I wanted to close that chapter fast and start fresh. Walking away wasn't easy. It felt like losing a limb. But every day I stayed, I was losing more of myself. I focused on me for once. Started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I needed help sorting through the wreckage. I reconnected with old friends who drifted away. I joined a book club. I even took a weekend trip alone to clear my head. I rediscovered things I'd shelved for her. Painting, music, just being goofy without fear. And slowly, I built a life that was honest. No lies, no hidden phone screens, no whispered secrets. I'll share the surprising ways this nightmare taught me about resilience, self-worth, and what real love should look like, plus some advice for anyone caught in a similar storm. You know what? This whole disaster taught me some hard truths, but also some truths that gave me hope. First, resilience isn't about never falling. It's about getting up every damn time, even when you feel like your heart is shredded. Second, self-worth isn't negotiable. No matter what she told me, no matter how many times she gaslit me into thinking I was too much or not enough, I'm worthy of respect, honesty, and love that's real. Third, real love isn't just about feelings, it's about actions. Love doesn't sneak around. It doesn't lie. It doesn't destroy your peace. And here's something I didn't expect. I found gratitude for this mess. Crazy, right? But yeah, without this nightmare, I wouldn't have found my own strength or learned what I truly deserve. So here's my advice to anyone going through the hell of betrayal. Trust your gut. If something feels off, investigate. Don't ignore red flags. Document everything. You might need proof one day, and trust me, you don't want to scramble. Don't isolate yourself. Reach out to friends, family, or a counselor. Give yourself time to heal. There's no rush to move on or get over it. Remember, you are not alone. So many have been through this and come out stronger. I'll wrap things up with a final reflection on how this experience changed me and what the future looks like now that I'm finally free. Looking back, I never imagined I'd be the guy posting about his wife's massive betrayal on Reddit. But here I am, and honestly, I'm grateful for this space to share and heal. This experience broke me in ways I never wanted, but it also rebuilt me stronger, clearer, and more in tune with what I want from life and love. I've learned to trust myself again, to set boundaries without guilt, to value honesty above all else. And most importantly, I've realized that sometimes walking away is the bravest, healthiest choice you can make, even when it hurts like hell. The future? It's uncertain, but it's mine. I'm ready to build something new, with someone real, or maybe just with myself for a while. If you're reading this and going through something similar, know this. You're stronger than you think. You deserve the truth, and you will get through this. Thanks for sticking with my story. If you have questions or want to vent, hit me up. Sometimes, just knowing someone's listening makes all the difference. Brad, not that Brad, just a guy who survived his own nightmare.